everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are very pleased to have with us Mr. Dan Rynsema-Sybenga, who is the Dean of Workforce and Talent Development here at MCC. We are excited to hear what he has to say to us about the many activities and the trainings that MCC is involved in as they work with our community partners to help provide the necessary trainings to everyone in the Muskegon County and surrounding areas. Let's just talk a little bit. May I call you Dan?
Sure, that'd be great.
Thank you. First, Dan, I know a part of what you do relates to business and industry. Can you explain to us exactly what is your charge?
Sure. Mostly I work with workforce programs, and those deal with our workforce development partners as well as the companies in Muskegon that hire our workforce. So when we work with business and industry, we do a number of different things, but we have academic programs, but mostly what I'm concerned with is non-academic programs, especially as it relates to business and industry. Non-credit programs are things that we do where the workforce agency or the company has a special need and we do not have a class that fills that need, but we do have human resource and equipment expertise or resources that we could offer a training in that area. So then we package something for the company or the workforce development agency and we run a training that is a non-credit training. So for business and industry, this is very helpful because they often have particular softwares or they have particular schedules or certain constraints that some of our regular classes don't work for them. So we're able to develop a more customized training program for them. And in the same way with Michigan Works, many of our Michigan Works in the area, they have similar constraints, and so sometimes we can develop a special training that will work directly for them.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, as part of community outreach, I believe that is an important part of that. And we thank you for your efforts and what you're doing in designing the trainings. But let's talk a little bit. When you mention continuing education, I think people look at, and I think you're a little bit a part of continuing education, but you have your own set way of operations. Is that correct?
Yeah. We're a non-credit program, and at MCC, you're well aware we have continuing education, which is also non-credit, but the two are very distinct. The business and industry training and the workforce training programs are requested by the company or the agency. So it's not the type of a program that someone can go on our website and sign up for as an individual. That's, I think, the main difference between the college's community education offerings, which are, can be job related or enrichment related, but those are opportunities where the student or the resident can, on their own make a decision to join the class. The programs I work on, the company or the agency decides they would like to run the class, and they just connect us with the students who they are paying for the training for.
Very good. Thank you for explaining that with us. Now, I noticed that it says talent development.
Sure.
Now, expound a little bit on that for me.
Sure. Well, in the state of Michigan, we've had a very, unique and diverse economy, and for, our economic history has kind of gone through the gamut, and we're located here in West Michigan. And an important thing when you're considering the workforce of your area is what type of talent are your employers looking for? What kind of employers are they, and what kind of skills do they need people to make their business prosper? So that's a field that's taking off kind of countrywide, but also in Michigan is, what talent is the talent that we need here and now. So at MCC, we've been in that business for a very long time. That's not a new thing, the idea of talent and that our companies need talent, but it is kind of a new concept in terms of, well, how are we going to bring out that talent and develop that talent? It's kind of a new word or a new way of looking at it for our local employers. So here at the college, we continually are improving the ways that we can identify what employers are looking for and bring them the talent that they need.
That's wonderful. Now, can you tell me a little bit about your short-term and long-term goals for your programs?
Sure. I think in the short term, we are looking to provide trainings and programs that meet immediate needs. So if there's companies out there that know that MCC has academic areas or training areas that they have needs in, on a short-term basis, we're here to fill those and to provide a concrete, training, at a time and a place, coming up that, will meet their needs and will, help them move forward. On a lot more long-term goal, I think we are working with our partners, the Muskegon Area Intermediate School District, who is our K-12, and then obviously all the other school districts. Our employers, as well as some of our other adult education partners and workforce development partners, such as Muskegon, Oceana, Michigan Works, to identify more long-term what is the direction of our economy and our workforce here in Michigan, or in Muskegon, and as a long-term, maybe 3 to 5 years, lay plans that will allow us to meet those employers' needs at that point. So right now we're talking about which jobs are in demand now, but what jobs are going to be in demand in a little bit more medium or long-term basis, and how can we fill those?
Very good. Now, I want to touch a little bit. I think most of us heard the State of the Union address from the president. He talked a lot about the trainings, and so that brought to mind some of the things that you do. So what are the benefits of these programs as they relate to his conversation the other evening? Sure.
Yeah, the President Obama and really political leaders across the country, including our governor, have been very keyed on, like I said, the talent issues, as well as the community college as kind of a training ground, a very important training ground. I think it's become clear that high school education generally has been, a college preparation. And at this point, a lot of the jobs that are in demand, short-term and long-term, require somewhat more training than you can get from the general education that you receive at high school. So there's been a broad acceptance of the idea that post-secondary education is an important thing. And community colleges are kind of that front door to that because of their nature of being, the first 2 years of a 4-year degree, or having, the 1-year certificates or 2-year terminal degrees. That means a degree that leads directly to a job, as being that place that is a great next step for our residents to fulfill their career dreams.
Oh, great. Now, what are you doing presently to help you reach those short-term and long-term goals? Do you have any activities or anything in the making that can help you reach those?
Sure. Well, we do a lot of outreach with companies, so we have various ways. We participate on a lot of committees and collaborations with other agencies. So we try to keep in touch with our employers as well as the other agencies as to what people are looking for. We also do some marketing in terms of we reach out to employers through an email newsletter, and through other channels of communication at Muskegon Community College, through press releases, our website, to let people know what new workforce programs we're developing and things that they might be interested in.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, how do you recruit? No one, not just anyone can come and take these classes. Is that correct?
That's right. Yep. So really, these are classes that take some form of development with an employer or with an agency or someone who wants to host the training. So I can give a couple of examples. Right now we're working on a SolidWorks training at Alcoa Howmet. This is something that they've identified that their engineers need to move from 2D CAD world to a 3D CAD, which is computer-aided design. And so they need more operators. So we are going to hold a training over the next 2 months that will take place at their convenience, when we can move through some of the same things we would teach in one of our classes, but we can do it there. We can do it with focusing on the types of parts that they create and the systems that they work within. So that's a training that, so what we do is we work with that company to the managers as well as the HR director or the director of training to say, identify the needs, go in and make sure that we know who's going to take the training, what their current situation is in terms of being ready for the training, equipment and stuff like that. And then we deliver a training that, is at the company site and hopefully, puts them in a better spot to be more, competent at the area we're looking to train in. And another example is when sometimes we do trainings that are like more agency based. So we've done the Advanced Manufacturing Institute in the past and we're hoping to do that again. That's something where the community partners have identified that we don't have enough entry-level workers or people who were possibly in retail or another service industry who are now starting to work in the manufacturing field, but they don't have a good concept of what happens in a manufacturing environment. So this is a 8-week class that really is targeted to those people. So then we work with the agencies or employers who have those type of people on their staffs to get them enrolled in a class that's particularly targeted to them.
Wonderful. Now, what about the financial support? As I understand that, when the training or the classes are given, those financial responsibilities usually fall on the employer or the agency?
Yes, when we do non-credit workforce and custom business trainings, usually they're paid for by an agency or by the employer themselves.
Okay, so there's no financial response on the backs of the worker. It's already taken care of, so that really could help enhance the workforce.
Oh, for sure, yeah. The trainings that, for example, a company will put their people through when we organize a training at their workplace, yeah, those will be, trainings that are of benefit to the employee because it's improving their skills that will last a lifetime. So, but yeah, the employer is paying for that. And that's very similar to, we have employers who are willing to, through, employee reimbursement, tuition reimbursement, or sponsor authorization to actually pay for credit classes as well. I think there's a lot of employers and a lot of agencies that would like to invest in the talent of workers to bring that out and to make them more a better asset in the workforce.
Well, that's wonderful. Now, what is your most successful program at the moment?
Well, we've had numerous successful programs. One that was quite interesting over the last year was we partnered with Ottawa County Michigan Works and Goodwill Industries of West Michigan to do a Second Chance Prisoner Reentry Manufacturing Skills Program. And we ran that program 5 times, and we had about 15 students in each class. So we had about 60 people go through the program over the last year. And that was very successful because a lot of times it's very difficult for people who are re-entering society from incarceration to find a job because of their record. But this was a great way to get them some skills and to also connect them to some resources that would help after the training was over to connect them to employers who might be willing to hire ex-offenders. So that was a very successful training. We know of many people who are still working because of that. So,
well, that's great.
That's kind of rewarding to be a part of.
Well, wonderful. This is some exciting stuff, and I'm really happy to have you share it with us today. Now, we're just about coming down to the end, but I want to leave an opportunity. Do you have any last remarks that you'd like to share with our viewing audience today?
Sure. I think, as we think about the Muskegon area and we think about our workforce, and I know we've heard a lot about that. It's a tough workforce, the unemployment is high, and that the opportunities aren't always there. I think that we are like a small labor market in a manufacturing state, all across the Midwest. So that is true. But there are opportunities, and one of the keys really is education. There are positions that are out there, but they do require certain skills, and they require, beyond skills, a good work ethic and good what we call soft skills. So I think, I would just encourage people to be aware of the fact that there are opportunities, and that community colleges and workforce agencies are trying to work hard to, let people know what those positions are, what those skills are, and, hopefully put someone in a position where they can, prosper and have a great quality of life here in Muskegon.
Well, wonderful. It's been wonderful talking with you. Just on a closing note, so you think the economy in Muskegon is on its way back?
It is headed that direction. I mean, we've added quite a few jobs over the last year. We're not quite to the high of 2007 and 2008, but we are definitely climbing back from that time. And the indications, I think, are, manufacturing is an important base of our economy. And indications are that American manufacturing is continuing to strengthen, through the globalization and some of that coming back to the United States. So I think that there is a lot of hope for the Muskegon area.
Well, that's great. Well, we've been talking with Dan Rynsema-Sybenga, who is the Dean of Workforce and Talent Development here at MCC, and he's been sharing with us great opportunities to enhance the training for our workforce in Muskegon County, and we're just excited to have him with us. We're going to take a little break, and when we come back, we will be speaking to someone else about what we are doing at MCC. We'll be back with you in just a moment. Thank you for watching. Well, welcome back. If you've been joining us this morning, you were listening to us talking with Dan Rynsema-Sybenga, who is the Dean of Workforce and Talent Development here at MCC, and we had such wonderful information that he shared with us. Well, we're back, and we have joining us now Mrs. Shelby, who is the grant coordinator for Trade Adjustment Act grant that MCC has received. And we are just so excited to have you with us today. May I call you Val?
That would be fine.
Oh, great. Well, Val, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us. And we're equally excited to learn more about CAD and CNC, because I believe that that is one of the most popular programs that's going on right now. So can you tell us a little bit about this grant and the coordination of this?
Sure. What it is it's called a C2C grant, Credentials to Careers. And we're working with TAA, you mentioned, so we have a partnership with Michigan Works, and that's Michigan Works Muskegon Oceana. And the whole idea is to be able to develop different programs at a more accelerated pace, and actually to be able to offer step options. So you would be able to offer, a short-term training that leads into either a certificate or an associate's degree. Certificate meaning 1 year.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm. Now, who's your targeted audience for this?
We actually have people from Michigan Works, such as individuals that have been approved through the Trade Adjustment Assistance, or TAA. They would be one of our main groups that we would be targeting. In addition to that, veterans, anybody that's currently unemployed would be a great fit for some of the programs like the Accelerated Academy, or somebody that's currently working, looking to actually enhance skills in another area, or further their skills in another area on a part-time basis. So really we have a very vast target audience.
Well, that's great. Now, are there any special requirements that one would have to be able to be a part of this program?
Well, there's a couple of things that we would always suggest. We would want them to have, of course, some basic math skills, like making sure that they're familiar with decimals and also fractions. Very important for the CAD side and the machining end. So very important to have those, basic math skills. In addition, we really need people that are committed, because some of these classes that we are now doing on an accelerated basis are going very quickly, so we need that commitment and dedication. So if somebody signs up for these classes, they need to understand that it's going to be fast and furious.
Fast and furious.
That's right.
And a lot of people are looking for that these days. They need quick training so that they can be either re-enter the workforce or to just make a better living for themselves. So that's great. I'm happy to hear that you're doing that. Now, how does one find funding for these particular courses?
Sure, there's actually a few different ways. These classes that we're offering, they are actually part of a 2-year program. So financial aid is available for these programs, for the classes in these programs. So that's a wonderful resource. So Pell Grant is acceptable. We also have a partnership with Michigan Works, as I mentioned. Michigan Works, there are stipulations, but there are possible funding opportunities. And we've probably had about 10 people sponsored currently through Michigan Works that they've actually paid for not just the first 2 classes from that stackable credentials that we're working on, but also they're looking to also pay for 2-year degrees, which is amazing because that's very hard to come by.
That is. So we find that the funding, the tightening of the funding was there, but we find that the reins are loosening a little bit.
A little bit in certain areas. In this area, yes, it is. When it concerns with CAD, the computer-aided design, or the machine technology area, yes, including CNC, that's the big one.
So a few months ago, I believe Michigan Works put out this listing of the top jobs that they would help support.
Sure.
And I believe CAD and CNC was at one of the very top.
It is, yes, it is on that list. And that list is called the Hot Jobs list, and it is through the county, through Muskegon County, but it is sponsorships. There's certain target markets that, industries that Michigan Works does cover, and CAD CNC is one of those.
Okay. Now, if someone is listening right now, what can they do to get in touch with you, or what are the basic steps that they need to take?
Sure. Well, the first step, of course, would be to get in touch with a counselor, make sure that they can identify exactly what direction they want to go in. The next thing, if they're just looking for basic information, we would ask that they would call me regarding the CAD and CNC classes, machine technology, I should say, because those classes that lead to the CAD, CNC degree or credentials are very important. I would like to be able to sit down with them and actually talk to them one-on-one to make sure that we're on the same page, and then I can give them the resources as it relates to the grant.
Okay, so they can call you or email you.
Absolutely.
Okay, and
absolutely.
what is your email address?
My email is val.shelby, SHELBY, at muskegoncc.edu.
What are the job markets? What have you seen? Has the job market grown? Is that such a request now for these types of jobs?
It really is. We have numerous employers that we're working with, and the employers are telling us we need people with these basic skills. We need people that not only the entry level, but more importantly, that next step, that next stage where there's a huge skill gap. And Dan had mentioned the skill gap earlier, and that's what we're seeing, that there's a huge skill gap. The employers are saying we need people with not just CAD skills and not just the CNC or machine technology skills. We need students, we need employees that have both of these skill sets. That's where this grant and these classes, these programs come into play, is that we're trying to meet the needs of the employers, and we're trying to, instead of having that gap, we're just trying to close that gap. Because we know that if the employers are requesting it, we know that we need to react and get people trained as soon as possible to get them back in the workforce.
There you go. And what better way to do it than at MCC?
Absolutely.
To be right into it. Okay, well, have you been successful with this program so far?
Absolutely. We actually, we just started our second Accelerated Academy, which consists of 2 classes, the first entry-level classes towards the certificate or degree. We currently have a full class the second time around, and we're already starting to recruit for summer classes. So we have many employers, and I'm going out to employers, trying to contact them, as well as working with Michigan Works to make sure that we're providing these individuals, these students, the soft skills that are also needed. Michigan Works is our community-based organization on this project. So they're helping us with providing some of the soft skill and employability training. So between the two of us, we're working together to make sure that there's opportunities for students, not just in the Accelerated Academy piece, but people that are serious about going into CAD in the machine technology programs, those classes. If they stick into taking those classes, they will have jobs.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, we've heard some wonderful information this morning, and I just want to reiterate that we've been talking with Val Shelby. She is the grant coordinator here at Muskegon Community College that works in conjunction with Mr. Rynsema, and Sybenga, I'm sorry. But we are just so excited about what we're doing here at MCC, and MCC being a partnership, making sure that our workers are trained in the highest quality that they need to get the job done.
Absolutely.
Okay, so as we begin to close out for the day, let's just give you an opportunity to appeal to those who may be thinking, what do I want to do? Where do I want to go?
Sure. What I would suggest, if anybody is interested in the CAD or CNC disciplines, to definitely, again, number one, you can talk with a counselor, but give me a call or send me an email. And I'll be more than happy to provide a tour and to give a good overview of all of the programs as we're continuing to develop on a regular basis. We're not done here. We're still looking at making adjustments to classes and also looking at adding some additional components to our current program. So just come see me, and I'd love to be able to go over all of the options with them so that they can have a clear understanding of what they want to do to make sure this is the direction that they want to go in.
Well, great. Now, speaking to our audience, there are no limitations as to who can get into the program to qualify for the Michigan Works or for other.
There are actually qualifiers.
Okay.
Michigan Works makes their own determination who is considered suitable in their programs, where they will actually provide sponsorships. So it's not guaranteed funding, but again, there are opportunities there, and it is possible. So I would say to somebody, if you are currently receiving unemployment, perfect fit, shouldn't have a problem because the indicators and the sustainability, you've probably already met those. In regards to other programs that they have, you just have to go to Michigan Works and they will determine if you can indeed get that sponsorship and get your classes or possibly degree paid for.
Yes, and you also mentioned that Pell Grant. The Pell Grant is the federal student aid that could possibly pay for this. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. And just to also mention, Michigan Works requires that you go through and actually do the financial aid piece, complete the FAFSA before they're able to even consider any funding. So that is one of the first stops that somebody could do to identify if they have funding available.
Okay. Now, one other piece about the financial, are there any deadlines? If they were preparing to start class in the spring, summer, when should they have fill out their federal Pell Grant? When should they do that?
As soon as possible. The sooner the better. It gives them opportunities. Even if they don't decide to go into this program, if they're looking at going to Muskegon Community College, the sooner that they actually fill out the FAFSA, the better.
Well, great. Great. Anything else you'd like to share with us?
Nope, just that. I think that seeing is believing. So if somebody is interested in a tour, I think once they're able to see some of the really cool equipment that we've been able to add through the grant, and even maybe a discussion with an instructor, I think that if you're interested, that's all that you'll need.
Oh, wonderful. Well, you've heard it right here. Thank you for watching today. Again, you've been watching MCC Community Outreach Update Show. And I am your host for the day, Mary Ann Williams. And we want to thank again Dan Rynsema-Sybenga, who is the Dean of Workforce and Talent Development, and Mrs. Val Shelby, who is the grant coordinator for the Trade Adjustment Act grant here at MCC. And as always, we're happy that you watched us and take a glimpse of all of the activities at MCC by visiting us online, www.muskegoncc.edu. We thank you, and when you think of community, you think of MCC. Have a great day.